Hi everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. And Sam and I are having a couple of guests with us. You might introduce the guy next to you.
Well,
I'm sure the fans might have seen him.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever seen him before.
Could very well be, right.
Athletic director, and always a pleasure.
Always happy to be here.
And next to me is Trent Liggett, who is athletic director at middle school and Mr. Duncan's assistant. Is that right?
That's correct.
So
Okay.
he has two jobs. Does he get paid more?
Can't talk about that.
That's one of them questions I ask.
Looked up athletic director and the director in the dictionary, and it says director of athletics. So you guys are going to have to explain just what you do as athletic directors. You want to go first?
Me? Sure. It's our job to contact other schools to find opponents, and we have to do contracts with them, and of course you have to hire all the officials, and besides the people that have to run the game, you get all your workers at the door, and that takes place with Sam's daughter-in-law, Mandy Harvey, helps us with that, getting our workers to take at the games. But there's lots of little things that has to take place. That, you know, it's not just getting to go watch ball games and see kids play. That's part of it, but that's a very, very small part of it. So.
Yeah, be sure the lights are on and the public address mic is working and all that good stuff.
Physicals are in and everything else they have to in forms. And
Is that similar to your jobs at middle school?
It's similar. I'm learning at the high school different ins and outs of the job, but you know, working with the coaches, getting them combined with the middle school. Ultimately, I think that's one of our goals now, and hopefully we'll find success on down the line.
How long have you been at this job?
Be my 12th year, assistant principal and AD at the middle school. Although now they're moving me with Mr. Duncan, so I'll be full time with him, working with him.
Okay, so you moved up from middle school to the high school to assist Brent.
Yes, that is correct.
And you've been at the job how long?
this is my 8th full year.
Okay.
I think could be 9. I have to go back and recalculate.
Been with the school corporation a long time.
Since 1989, so 34 years, 35 years, somewhere in there.
Did
Been
you
a while.
fellows know
30 years, 31.
No, Charlie Heck, the late Charlie Heck.
I know the name.
Athletic
I don't know if I
director.
ever met him, but I do know the name. So.
Sam, he was in years and years, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, and a terrific gentleman.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
a gentleman by far.
Yes, yes, right.
He, well, he was there when I was in high school, and of course he saw us through for our first state championship. And
Yes.
that was a big deal. And his office, as I recall, was in the northwest corner of the bowl, where the concession stand is now, where there used to be ticket windows there, and he worked out of that little room.
A lot different back then. Everything was pencil and paper and by mail, and sometimes there wasn't even a contract, just word of mouth.
Handshake.
So, handshake and I'll be there.
That's right, right. What's your biggest challenge as athletic directors?
Well,
Go ahead.
in relation to you know, communicating with the players and the parents and making sure we're on the same have the same goal in mind. I think the communication part is a big part, and then behind the scenes, you know, scheduling games, rescheduling games, scheduling officials. I think that's ever changing. You never know when officials not going to show up at a certain day, and or the other team has weather problems and we have to reschedule. But I've realized, or I'm starting to realize, the middle school, our seasons are compact compared to the high school. It's just ongoing. It's all year long, and it keeps you on your toes.
At the middle school, what do you have in spring sports, Trent?
Well, in spring sports coming up, we have golf, we have track, we have energizers and cheers still do their thing in the spring, but that's the weaning off of the basketball season and the wrestling season, and a lot of kids are involved in track nowadays, and last year we had close to 90 kids on the team, and hopefully hit maybe that 100 number this year. So Lindsey Brooks, our head coach, does a fantastic job with track. So
Then in the fall, what do you have?
in the fall we have football, we have swimming, we have cross country, we have volleyball, and again we have energizers and cheer.
Like the senior high, most of the sports are in the fall, aren't they?
There's quite a few, and they added baseball and softball that spring as well, full time. So they have quite a few sports.
In the winter, you have wrestling and boys and girls basketball.
We have 2 grades per or 2 teams per grade level. Total of 8 basketball teams in grades 7 and 8.
Okay, you have the boys starting about now, and then the girls after the first of the year. How come it's like that?
Well, I'm not really sure.
It just happened.
Just been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
We've talked
Okay.
about that many times. The girls' high school season starts about 3 weeks prior to the boys, and we've always questioned why the girls' middle school season doesn't mirror that. But no one has really. Everybody plays the same, so it's always been that way for as long as.
It isn't broken.
Across the states that way, correct?
Yeah.
Is it really? I didn't realize that. Okay.
So we never really know unless it had something to do with maybe gym time at some point in time.
Sure.
I don't know, but if you got nobody has given me a good answer or reason why we can't
Okay.
switch them, other than if we can't switch them because nobody else is going to switch them. So
That's true. That's true. The boys basketball is about to get underway.
Yes, actually, our first boys white games are tonight at St. Michael's
In Brookville.
in Brookville,
Yeah. Okay.
and then we have game Thursday at home versus Union County boys red. And I know the high school, that's a big deal, but the middle school is a big deal too. So hopefully have a packed arena come Thursday night.
Okay, and they play at Spartan Arena. And what's the seating capacity?
Oh boy,
Very nice gym.
I don't know, is it what 10, 20,000?
yeah, close, right in that area.
I'm not really sure.
Yes.
Seating capacity in that. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, don't know if
Several
I've ever
hundred.
seen I'd say it pushes 500 people or so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've never really seen the number itself. So
It's a very nice gym.
It is.
Very nice.
We're very lucky
for
to
middle
have that.
school.
Very
right?
lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet a lot of schools aren't that nice of a facility.
Yeah, we'll always get compliments from other teams
Do you?
in relation to not necessarily our gym, but our cheerleaders and energizers. They have their halftime festivities and between games dance, and other schools are kind of, I think, jealous of us in relation to that. So.
Okay, and you have, as you mentioned, 4 teams play. The red and the white, who determines where a player goes?
Well, just on the boys' side, Kerry Brown's hands-on in
Okay.
relation to who goes where, but he ultimately picks his top whatever and puts them on both teams, not necessarily in one team.
Okay.
His philosophy is playing time. And granted, you want to win at the high school, but it's all about playing time at the middle school and getting better, and to the point where those boys can take that next step at the high school.
Right. The middle school job in sports is really to be the feeder system, isn't it?
Oh, correct.
The senior high?
Yes, and that's where we're going across the board. It's where Mr. Duncan and I want to go. Not necessarily just the middle school, but start young in elementary and have a feeder program, throughout.
Right, that continues on. You get the elementary kids, and what's the biggest problem with a youngster going from the 6th to the 7th grade?
Well, if they don't have any experience in elementary, it's just the fundamentals of whatever sport.
Okay.
Take basketball. If they've never dribbled a basketball, by the time they get to 7th grade,
Sure.
the other teams ultimately are ahead of them in relation to the knowledge and understanding and the fundamentals and ownership from the coach's point of view. I have a lot of parents that coach their kids throughout, and then when they hit middle school, they have a different coach, and that's kind of hard to deal with in
Okay.
relation to somebody else's philosophies or understanding of the game.
Brent, do you work closely with Trent in sports
yeah, I
at
mean
middle school?
it's been a new transition, so not as hands-on as I need to be yet, or going to be once we kind of get everybody on the same page. Trent will be out here with us in January full time, and the goal is to get everybody kind of on the same schedule, and where we don't have overlapping of games, where we have families that might have a high school kid and a middle school kid caught in a quandary sometimes with games on the same time. That's just hard because contracts are in place, and you kind of got to honor them a little bit. Give them enough advance notice. Sometimes they'll let you break a contract, but you don't like to leave schools hanging
Sure.
in a limbo someplace. So, but that's the ultimate goal: is everybody on the same page, working towards the same thing
Yes.
in every sport that we offer.
Sam, that's important. That
It
each
is.
one knows what the other one's doing.
Right. And having the two together is probably good, but how's that going to be? You're not going to be in that building to see those student athletes. How are you going to handle that now? Or
Well,
do you feel that you need to?
Well, yes, I do, to answer your question, but I think our coaches, our middle school coaches, do a good job. Most of them are lay coaches. They do a good job of getting in the building, maybe during lunchtime, and doing some recruiting and talking to the kids. And then different after-school activities, showing up, being, visible with the community. I may be a middle school player and I may not know you, but I know you're the coach, and that gives me an opportunity to talk to you. But, things with physicals and expectations, I think early on next year, it's imperative Mr. Duncan and I are visible at the middle school and not necessarily only the high school.
Talking about coaches, how are coaches chosen? How are they hired at that level? Do you go recruit them, or the high school coaches look to find them? How's that work?
Yeah. Well, we post it like we would any job in the district and outside the district, and we have a list of candidates, and Mr. Duncan and I give that list to the varsity coach, whoever it may be, and then from that list we draw who we want to interview. Our baseball position we had open recently, we had maybe 10 candidates for the position, and we interviewed maybe 5 of them. And the varsity coach has a lot of say-so as to who is that next middle school coach. And, we don't run into situations very often. Since 12 years I've been here, where the varsity coach says, I want this guy, but an athletic director wants this guy. I think it's happened one time, and we kind of worked that out. So. But a lot of ownership's given to the varsity coach in relation to who he or she wants.
Probably a nice problem to have if you've got 5 or 10 people applying. Shows that there's a lot of interest, and you got a good field to select from.
Well, you'll notice that's depending on which sport you have open. We obviously get a lot of candidates for basketball positions, and then sometimes with some of our, quote, minor sports, as people would say, not quite as many people. And sometimes you're beating a horse, or you're calling on a phone and you're scrapping through everybody you can think of in your brain that's played and still around and might have an interest, and giving them a call. And
big commitment.
It is, and a lot of times the people that are willing to do it have kids at the wrong age, or their own personal jobs outside interfere with the time they can be in and practice. And so there's a lot of variables and factors to finding that right fit, that they can commit the time to do it and do it well and do it under the guidelines of what our coaches want, but yet still be able to do their own stuff, make their own living at their own jobs. It's not always as flexible as it needs to be from our end, but they have to do what's right for them and their family too. So
you tell us not to ask you hard questions, but certified staff that would apply, would they get preference over?
Well, I won't say they get preference,
or?
But we always would prefer to have them in the building as an ex-coach and a teacher, knowing that I get done with my teaching job and coaching is just part of my extension of my day, where if I work as a lay person, I have a job, and if they call me, sports will be on the back burner once school's out. I may have to go to a meeting, or I may get called in by my boss. So I won't say they'll give preferential treatment, but if we could get them on staff, that would be our best first option if they were qualified compared to the other candidates.
Sure.
So, and I'll use Doug Fish as an example. We'd have a hard time someone in our community that knows more about golf than what Doug does after playing in the Masters twice. And, when he left, it was open again. But it'd be hard to find someone on staff that had his credentials to be the golf coach. So.
Exactly.
Might look at the sports schedule for this week. At CHS, Friday, the Lady Spartans meet Centerville at Spartan Bowl. The game's at 6 p.m. and 7:30. On Saturday, the wrestling team goes to Lawrence Central and takes part in an invitational opening event of the season for those folks. Boys basketball at Knightstown High School for a scrimmage with the Panthers at 1 o'clock. That's the first opportunity to see the 2019-2020 Spartans, who opened the regular season Wednesday, November 27th at Spartan Bowl, meeting Union County, with JV game at 6, followed by the varsity contest. Saturday evening, the Lady Spartans travel to Anderson to meet the Lady Indians at the former Anderson Highland Gym. Games at 6 and 7:30. Middle school this week, as Trent said, the white team opens its season at St. Michael Monday, St. Michael's in Brookville. And Saturday, the 8th graders travel to Greenfield and take part in an invitational, while the 7th graders host an invitational starting at 9 a.m. in Spartan Arena. On Tuesday, the red team opens the season at Newcastle Middle School, 5:30 start. And Thursday hosts Union County starting at 6 p.m. at Spartan Arena. So basketball is really getting underway, and I don't think the fans can wait. I don't know, how about you fellas, what you're hearing?
Well, I enjoy watching all the sports, so
Okay, sure.
Not just basketball, but I'm sure, with the community and the history of Connersville basketball here, that's the big buzz going on
Yes.
right now. So
Right,
I'm
right.
sure they're all biting at the bit to come to the Union County game, and I know the Union County people have come over and got their tickets that they get from us already, and
Okay.
so I'm sure they're starting to sell them, and we'll have the hoopla on November 27th, and hopefully we'll walk away with another Spartan victory.
And the rumor is that you're going to help those kids that dribble the basketball from Union County, from
I'll at least
Liberty to Connersville.
greet them at the door. I know that I'll go and say congratulations and welcome to the bowl. But, I'm not sure I'm going to make that 12-mile jaunt dribbling the ball.
Trent, you want to do that? Dribble the basketball?
I could, but I have to be with Mr.
Oh,
Duncan.
absolutely. He needs protection from
a good
from the
assistant's
crowds.
always with the director. So.
That's true. That's very good. Yeah, that's a good excuse. On the spot, you came up with that. That's great.
We rehearsed before we got here.
Okay, we talked about the boys getting underway. What's it look like at middle school for basketball? You got any tall kids?
You're talking boys only, or
Right. Well,
boys and girls?
boys. Yeah, we'll have you on before the girls
Well,
in January.
Tall kids we're kind of lacking on this year, although the 8th grade we have a few there that are taller than me. So, but I think our height went to high school as freshmen this year, so they're out to high school. Hopefully they'll help our teams out there. But
Brent, welcome, and you were welcome, the tall kids.
right,
Yeah, if we get some 6'8", 6'9" kids, that'd be
And
ecstatic.
the small kids too. I mean, they
Anybody
you need
that can work
guards.
hard and play and put the time in and make themselves better and our teams better, that's all that counts. So.
Right.
But I was pleasantly surprised with the girls' open gym the other day. I went in and just to see what we have coming up, and the 7th grade. I think it's going to be a strong group, and there's some height in that group too.
Okay.
So
They play in January and February.
they start January 9th, I believe, is their first game,
right.
and tryouts early December. So right around the corner for girls basketball.
Yes,
That
yes.
should make Coach Harder smile if you got some taller girls in the
Right.
lower grades that
Been heading
she'll
for a
have an
while.
opportunity to have her influence. I'm
Right.
sure.
I think both grade levels, athletically, physically, understanding the game, it's the sky's the limit for those two, and hopefully that will add to our program.
We've watched Spartans under new coach Harder, and they're struggling right now. Sam was pointing out Saturday that Mount Vernon was probably the best team they played in the 4 that they have played so far. This was an extremely fast team. Guarding the defense was super, and I talked to Coach Harder after the game, and she said that's our goal here for the Lady Spartans to become a team like that.
Well, I think given her time, and she kind of got off to a late start because of our second hiring of the summer for the girls basketball program, so they kind of put her behind the 8 ball a little bit. But I think giving her a chance to have a good summer and get her season in her belt and kind of get to know the girls, and they understand what her philosophies are and what she's expecting. She's got them in the weight room. She's got them doing shooting drills. She's got them working on man defense. And they have done a little bit, but not to the extent that she's playing. Obviously, when you look at her, we hardly ever in the zone. And so that's a whole new thing for them. And we've obviously changed the offense that we run, so that's something new that they've not had for the last 16 years or so. So it's all new lingo, language, terminology, where help side is, how do you close out, how do you block out. But I've watched them, and I see some things that are improvement. And I see some of our girls getting in there and banging around and trying to get the ball. And hopefully she'll get things turning, and we'll get more girls that want to come out and be a part of it. So
The fans have to be patient. They only had one starter really backed and one girl with experience on the varsity team, and everybody else is new.
yeah, that's Paige, and Paige is just a sophomore, so
Right.
it's not like she's had an extensive experience other than 1 year under her belt, and she's played some travel basketball, but I can't say many of the other ones have probably played a little more in the summertime than Paige has. So last year she fit in with the girls who kind of took some pressure off of her with Marley and Elise and Lauren and a couple of those other ones, but everybody's going to focus on Paige right now, so she's going to draw the best defender every night.
That's true.
Until someone else steps up and proves that they can take care of the ball with her. And we got a lot of young kids. A lot of times you look out there and there's 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a junior on the floor. So the future's bright, but it's a work in progress. So it's not going to be built in a day, but there's a lot of things that took Coach Brown a while to build.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's done a good job, being successful, and I think Coach Harder has the same mindset and the same work habits that he has. So we'll be looking forward to having one of our own basketball leagues like Cary has for the boys, outside the Parks Department, which is great. But now they got the Parks Department and Cary's for the boys, and we have the Parks Department for the girls. And I think Michelle's wanting to start one of the, whatever you want to call it, Dirt Road League or whatever we'll end up calling it, for the girls' side as well.
This weekend, Centerville and Anderson, neither of these teams is having great seasons. Right now, Centerville is same record as the Spartan, 0-4. They will be they will be going to Muncie Burris for a game on Wednesday and then coming to Connersville Friday. And Anderson is 1-3, and they're idle until Saturday when they meet the Spartans. But both Connersville and Centerville are in the offensive category, bowling in the 20s for their offense, and they're giving up a lot of points. So they're evenly matched, probably for the first time this season. The Spartans are.
I hope we're a little bit better than, and that's Centerville's Trent's old stopping grounds are where he lives. But I would like to think the competition that we've played is a little tougher than the competition that Centerville has played. I mean, we started with 4 pretty good meat grinders for the girls. There's no patsies in that first 4 games coming out there, but nothing taken away from Centerville. But I'd like to think our strength of schedule is to our advantage when we come time to getting out of that and learning how to play the game. And then, of course, Anderson, they're just going to be athletic like they always are. They're usually quick. They like to press, and we'll see how well we can handle that. So they're going to probably run just a little bit more if they stay with the tempo of things that they've had in the last few years. So it'll be 2 types of different ball games, I think, back-to-back nights. One I don't think will be quite as fast, and the next night might be like racehorses on the floor. So, but it's a good experience for our girls, and I think, as I tell them every day, 1% better. That's what you got to get every day. I heard that from, was it Frank Reich or whoever with the Colts last year? 1% better is all you got to get, and keep striving. And I talked to the girls in the hallway. They don't seem to be down or dejected, and
That's
I think
good.
they like what's going on. And I think a lot of parents have had some good comments and compliments about Coach and what they see the program becoming in time. So those are all positives.
Right. Yeah, they've played some really tough teams, maybe some of the toughest they'll have all season.
Yeah, I mean, and then we'll get in the girls' basketball program, and the conference will be decent in spots. And we still got Columbus East on the schedule, and some other schools that'll be a good, solid.
Sure.
So, but it's been a good start, and hopefully one of those days it's us on the other side of that thing, or at least in those games where they're close coming down to the end. And I think in time, Michelle will get that turned around.
I like it during halftime or during quarter breaks or during timeouts. She's teaching, and she's very demonstrative when she's in the huddle, and I like seeing that she's not yelling at the girls, she's not mad at the girls, she's trying to get them to be better.
Yeah, and I think she's got to put the good staff. Chad House stepped up to help with the JV this year, and he's going to do what she asks him. And then, of course, we got Brandy Jolliffe, who played at Franklin County and Marion University, as one of the co-varsity assistants. And, of course, Laura Richards, which is now Laura Igney, former Lady Spartan, played at Valpo back. So I think with those experience, those girls having that college experience under their belt and can help the girls with what they need to do and how it looked like for them in the off season. And of course, Laura was around with a lot of success, and I know Brandy had a lot of success at Franklin County when they were down there in the early 2010, 2011 time.
Laura really understands the tradition here. Having been a part of that, and I think one of the basketballs out there in the hallway has her name on it as one of the top scorers,
Sure.
4th or 5th leading scorer
Well, you think
for her
that
career.
You think back that she graduated in 09 with my daughter, and when she's 8, that's April McDivitt's senior year in 99. So those girls that went through with her all saw the Lady Spartans in the late 90s of the success they had, and that kind of spurred them on as a group. And hopefully we'll get that experience and get that feel back from her to help let the girls understand what that can be like and what it was like when she played. And that's nothing but positives for our little kids. So
Exactly.
Trent, the coaches at middle school, who's coaching wrestling?
Steve DeGroat and Doug Legier.
Okay, are they both former Spartan wrestlers?
I'm not sure, to
don't.
tell you the truth.
I can't answer it, but I don't remember those names since I've been
okay.
here. I mean, they've helped with the wrestling for a long, long time, both of those.
They've been involved in the youth wrestling leagues
right.
and for many years, and Steve's been there. He's been there longer than I've been there for 12 years. So, and Doug, he came on, I think, about 5 years ago. Their rapport, the kids, they know their stuff.
Good.
And I'm amazed every year they take kids that have no knowledge of wrestling, and by the end of the year they're winning different tournaments and invitationals, and it's just a total turnaround. And they teach and preach the knowledge of the game, but more so respect. and doing it the right way.
Yes.
And when they go to away game or away meet, they have to dress up, they have to look nice, they have to treat their opponent with respect and handshake them at the end and things like that.
Yeah,
so
teaching them.
they teach them not necessarily just the wrestling part of it, but the life part of it.
That's
So
all part of growing up and being good citizens.
Oh yeah, we're really lucky to have those two guys on staff. So.
I think you're lucky too in your basketball program. Who's coaching there?
Boys basketball, we got Brian Munchell. He's the only returning coach from last year's group. We have Kevin Gibson coaching the 7th grade white. Jeffrey Graves, he's actually an aide out of the high school. He's doing 8th grade white. And then 8th grade red is Mark Sollenbarger, which was assistant to Chris Silcott on 8th grade red last year. So he just kind of got moved in, and Chris had other things he wanted to do. So he's a fan up there now, Chris Silcott. And I always tease him about he can yell at the coaches now instead of not yelling back. So.
Well, he is a boy in college, I understand, doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear. So.
He's doing real well at IUPU or at IU East. So,
our girls program, we have Karen Rexroad Dudley doing our 8th grade red. Jessica Morris is doing our 7th grade red, and we have 2 open positions right now at the 7th grade white and 8th grade white. So anybody interested in coaching girls basketball, see Mr. Duncan and I ASAP, and we'll go from there.
Okay. The wrestling team at the high school, do they have all the weight categories taken care of, or will they be
We're going to weigh them in this week. We have to have them all weighed in before the Saturday meet. So
I hope
you put them off a little while to get in. I don't know if we'll have all 14 weight classes full, but we have a few more wrestlers out there than we had. So
that's good.
We don't have any seniors on the team except for our girl. I shouldn't say any. We have our girl wrestler, Bailey Lawrence, is our senior, and our 2 managers are seniors. So we're going to be young, so everybody will be coming back, and that's a good thing because the numbers keep getting bigger at each level. And Mac Taylor and Justin Lysing do a good job with them. And
they're getting some experience or years under their belts.
This is their 4th, I believe, coming up. And Mac was a successful wrestler in high school.
Yes.
Very successful at Newcastle, and and it'll be good. I think each year I've seen him get a little more dedicated, the kids, to what they need to do, and a little stronger and a little quicker, and the knowledge of wrestling is continuing to grow, and that's all you can hope, that he continues to build those numbers. And our goal is to get a little youth league running again, and it's just finding somebody that wants to take that off. So if you got any interested in wrestling and want to help out and get a youth league started again like we used to have, we're looking for that person that wants to be in charge of that. So.
And you have one girl on the team this year?
Yeah, Bailey Lawrence, she wrestled last year, and then she placed, I believe, 8th place or so in the girls' state wrestling meet. The coaches have their own state wrestling meet for the girls. It's not a recognized sport as far as girls' wrestling goes, but there has been a push around the state by the Wrestling Coaches Association to start high school girls wrestling. So we'll see where that goes in the next few years. There's probably 400 and some girls in the state wrestling currently, which is probably more than most people realize there's out there. So.
That is. I keep forgetting when you talk about wrestling. I automatically think of
we had Brooke wrestled a couple years ago. Almost made it out of the regional. I'm going to draw a blank on her last name. She wrestled at 106, so did a great job with that. So she would have been great to see her win that one last match. She won her first match. You got to win your second one to get out, and she got beat in the second one. So she could have been our first female semi-state wrestler. So.
And the Spartan Classic is?
December 27th and 28th. All 32 teams are ready to go.
That's a great event.
Like wrestling, it's about 800 some matches if every weight class is full for 2 days. So 4 mats on the floor, and it rolls from about 9 in the morning till 5 on Saturday, and we'll start back up at 8:30 on Friday or Thursday this week. I think it's Thursday this year. Could be Friday. I have to go back and look. And then on the 28th, we'll start at 8:30 again in the morning and finish about 5 in the afternoon. So.
Brent and Trent, appreciate you guys taking time from your athletic director duties and joining us here on tonight's program.
Always a pleasure, Frank.
Sam and I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Have a nice evening.